What is going on, guys? It's the MaD Dragon, and it's a Monday, which of course means we're going to be checking out the predictions from this weekend's games, which is only one game, of course. It was the Lions going up against the Wallabies for Test 2. So we're going to go through the results of the predictions, what you guys picked, what I picked, some reasons why we picked those, who did well, who did badly, all that good stuff. But because there's only one game, no world rankings, none of that sort of stuff to talk about today, so instead we'll talk a bit about the game, go over some thoughts, some of the controversial moments. You know I love getting involved with that and having people either very annoyed at me or completely in agreement. It seems to be the way the sport goes. We'll jump in first then with the predictions, and then we'll get on to talking a little bit about the actual game, which was a much better test, to be fair. So, down here then, the final result, 29-26. Lions taking this one by 3 points. You might have seen if you were eagle-eyed before the game kicked off. I went for Australia by 5. Now, I didn't think Australia would win this game. I honestly, this has been a weird Lions tour. When I watched the South Africa one 4 years ago, we did so much coverage on the channel. I was so hyped for it. This Lions tour has felt slightly underwhelming just for me personally as a viewer of rugby and someone who enjoys the sport of rugby. I really felt like the Lions hadn't come under a lot of pressure massively across this entire Lions tour. Every sort of game I'm going in with the mentality of I just think the Lions are going to win. So I didn't think Australia would win. But if you were paying attention to the leaderboards and what I've been doing on these Monday videos, I've just sort of expected everyone is going to pick the Lions. So the only chance I had to climb the board to try and get anywhere near that top 10 was to go for Australia, go for the underdog, and hope it paid off. Now, half hour in, I was feeling very smug with my pick. It was 23 points to 5. I was like, I'm going to take massive points from this round. I'm a genius. I've outplayed myself here, and everyone else in the tour. No, just before that halftime, of course, the Lions scored 2 tries, got back into it. It was 23-17 or something like that at halftime. And I thought, oh, it's looking a bit creaky now. But right up towards the end of that game, and Hugo Keenan eventually getting over that try, taking my big points away from me. Because I think Finn Russell missed that last kick, right? So it would have been 26-24. I wouldn't have taken all the points because Tem Shoulder and Connors Rugby would have taken it a little bit more. But who did well then? A few of those guys did actually still get the half bonus for going for the Australia low points. You want to be down here then. Joey Barton 87 and SO coming in there. Both of you guys going for Lions by 3 big points. You splitting that half bonus point as well. All important. I was so close to making a great call for me. All the way down to Jazzology thought maybe Lions by 32. I honestly thought before the game I thought about 12-14 is what I was going to pick, but I went for the Australia hoping for the big upset and get the points. So the rounds end, yep, is exactly those 2 players getting out there on the 3 points. Most people getting the 2.5 or the 2, and then the 5 others who went for Australia getting nothing. We don't need to see me with my wooden spoon. And then we'll move on to the leaderboards quickly then. Megalomaniac still holding out that top spot in the Lions series after I've so unfortunately brought you up in the for the July one last week, Megalomaniac. But still holding out strong on 13 points, half a point now ahead of Forest and Poxy in a joint sort of second place, that TDM separating you guys, which means 1 game left. If you guys can get it within that 5, if Megalomania can get the win and within that 5 points to give you that extra half bonus point, it's looking good. It's looking good. You guys want to try and take that half bonus point. If you can get the full bonus point singularly to yourself, huge result, and you could take that top spot. From 4th downwards then, a lot of people on 12. Etai, Lions are dead to ... Sliceberg, Joey Barden, the winner of the round, went up 6 places to get into the top 10, up into 7th. Kean up 1 into 8th. David Wakefield down 5 places into 9th. On the 11.5, and SO also doing well this round, climbs 7 places to get into the top 10 on that 11.5. Rito's dropping out, unfortunately, of the top 10, but still in there. Joint, it's just that TDM separating you. 1 game left to go, certainly within your reach. We'll have a scroll down. They're actually very interesting. Only 9 win points there as well. That's the difference. The half bonus points can make in this. Any of the big climbers and movers and what have you. Big Wolf climbed 12. A good pick by Big Wolf. A lot of people climbing at 5. Now, a lot of these might be because people like me and Connor went for Australia, hoping for the wild outside call. Goby dropping down 23 there. Connor down 10. Constant Jet down 18. Highland Cow down 18. Me down 16. Rugby 15 down 15. Probably all of us having maybe a similar mindset. We're thinking, if Australia pull it off, we're in first. Like we've come for the big points in that game if it goes that way, but not to be. As we'll scroll all the way down so everyone can see there where they are on the old leaderboard. So congratulations to Joey Bardo and SO were there for taking the round on both the gold clips and Megalomaniac still leading the way. And we'll talk a little bit then about the game. I've sort of got this up just so we can remind ourselves of some of the score lines or what have you, what went on. Yeah, halftime 23-17. That was such a weird game. Will Skelton adding in so much power into this Australia team, and Rob Valentini giving them so much go forward. And it was a shame to see Will Skelton go off so early in that second half, because I feel like he was adding a lot to that Australia team. Obviously, Lions got their yellow card with Tommy Freeman, which, you know, massively impacted the points, that half-time marker. But some real good step-ups from this Wallabies team. Not that I was expecting it from this guy. I honestly thought it would be another sort of clean walk for the Lions. So I'm glad the Wallabies were able to get into it. Good amount of strength, good amount of carrying. But just across that game, it did feel like every time the Lions got in the 22, it was going to be a try. And I don't know necessarily what that is, because the Wallabies team's got some very, very strong, powerful players, big jacklers on their team. And I really thought they'd be able to hold that out, but it just sort of just go through the motions, go through the pick and goes, go through the one-off carries, making meters on every sort of carry. And the Lions just sort of got over every time. They couldn't really stem the bleed, which was a bit of a shame. I feel like if they hadn't conceded it was Hugh Jones, right? Yeah, in the 37th. If they'd kept that one out, I think that could have been a very big sort of swing in that game, because 23-10 at halftime would have been a big score, and that would be a lot to overcome. That Hugh Jones try really just let the Lions team sort of get back into it. But let's talk a bit about some of the controversial moments, and something I want to sort of go into now. So the big one, you know, Hugo Keenan getting that score in the 79th minute, right at the end of the game, after some immense defence from the Wallabies team. But of course, before that happened, you know, sort of one phase before, was one of the big talking points that's come up from this has been the Jack Morgan-Tizano clash going in there. Now, I always just give my honest opinion. I don't care about which player, what team, anything. I'll always just give my opinion. Half the people will completely disagree with me. Half the people will probably be completely with me on it. That's how sport is. It is divisive. I always just give my honest opinion. So this one got flagged during the game, and I saw it was Jack Morgan, because they mentioned it in the context. Oh, Jack Morgan's been pinged for something. I thought, oh my God, the lad finally gets a shot in the main test series. He's about to cost them the game. I couldn't believe it. They showed the replay of this, of the big clear out going on, which is, you know, in the middle of the screens here for you guys. And in all honesty, I thought they'd shown the wrong clip. I was like, yeah, okay, there's the clear out. Okay, and then what does he do? What does he do after? You know, is he going to neck roll him? Is he going to, you know, give him a punch in the face? What's going to happen here? And that was it. That was the whole thing. And I was quite honestly surprised that was flagged, because the sort of the claim is that the shoulders made contact with the back of the neck, and you can't impact the neck of the player that's attempting to jackal and what have you. But honestly, very surprised it got flagged by the TMO. Very surprised it's been so diverse. So like, I think you would find 30-40 of those cleanouts in any game of rugby. And I was trying to explain this to someone yesterday, and I was sort of thinking about, like, I don't really know what else you can do in that situation if you're Jack Morgan. You know, the other thing people have been saying is, the refs said they came in at the same time, and then you show a still frame of Tizano is there and Jack Morgan's about here. It's like, oh, they're not at the same time. So if you take a still, you're talking about fractions of a second difference. When you're trying to shift someone like Tizano, who got an immense jackal earlier in the game, he's a big, big boy to shift, right? You have to commit. From before you're even in there, you are going full guns. I'm going to knock this guy out the way. You are talking about people who weigh 100, 120 kilos, full guns into each other as hard as they can. They aren't going to be able to pull out 2 frames a second, you know, screenshots before and back out of it. You know, you can't do that. Once you're committed, you're committed to it. So I honestly think it's a fine, you know, way to get in for the clear. I agree. I think it should be classed that they got in at the same time. I think it was pretty close, right? So the next one was the comment about it's hit the back of the neck. And I was trying to explain to someone that I don't really know what else you can do in the situation. Obviously, if you make contact with the head, the top of the head now, you're just going to get yellow carded. In the morning game, it's just a yellow card. You could end up being with a red. So you can't hit the head. And if you think about what Jack Morgan's actually looking at when he's coming in for this clear out, you can't hit the player's head. So head is now a big red area. You can't go in at the ribs or the shoulder, otherwise you've cleared out at the side of the ruck. You can't go for the elbow and downward where he's trying to grip onto the ball because then you're attacking the limbs. That's also a penalty. All of these things are penalties. You can try and go underneath, but Tizzano's such a massive... I don't know how you'd get underneath him. Look, he's got a great body position. He's very much going for it. I don't know how you'd get underneath him. And if you did get underneath him, I feel like you get pinged for sealing off. It's another penalty. So where are you going to hit? You've only got the shoulders, but Tizzano is also, rather than stood over the ball and reach down to lift, he's completely bent over with his head bent over. So that green area and the red area of your head of where you're allowed to hit, I don't honestly know where else you hit someone in that point. I honestly believe this is a fine clear out, and you would see it in a lot. I know Tizzano went down, which, again, this is one where I was like, I don't like what Tizzano did here. I've said it in other games, I've seen it before. He got the impact. I'm sure it was a big shot. Shifting Tizzano is not an easy thing to do. You have to have applied a lot of force into it. I'm sure that hurt. I would be dead as a person if I was Tizzano in that, if Jack Morgan hit me. I'm sure that hurt a lot. But he did really, to me, look like he took that impact, in my honest opinion, I think he's got hit, been knocked off the ability to get the jackal, realised he's lost it, looked up to the ref because he feels like he's been sort of hip, shoulders, back of the neck, and he's gone, ref, look at this, realised the ref's not going to do anything, and then gone, oh, my head, and fallen over. Now, I don't like that in any team in rugby, and I feel like we're seeing it a bit more now with how harsh the head contact laws are getting. More players taking contact, big shots, and just immediately holding their head and sort of one eye open to see if the ref's seen it, knowing the TMO will probably have to check it and stuff. I don't like that. I think Tizzano's got beaten in that, and maybe, arguably going for it, as many other players might do, trying to generate a penalty from that. If he gets the penalty from a bit of over-exaggeration holding the head, you win the game for Australia. You're a hero. All right, fair enough. I can sort of say. Honestly, I thought maybe there was something else untoward with that one. I don't think that was too controversial to go in there. And it led to the try, which is the only reason it's controversial. That happens in the middle of the park. Nobody even cares about it, right? It's just because it's close to the try and it went on to score a try. It's the only reason people care about it. So that one, I don't know why Australia have made such a big fuss about that one in particular. One that I honestly think should maybe be flagged about, which is in favour of Australia, actually. So I don't care about the teams. I'll pick either way, right? This one by Dan Sheen. Now, this one is such an interesting thing to me here. So this was the tap and go try by Dan Sheen. Took the tap on the 5 metre line, ran and leapt into the air. Maro Itoje shoving an arm. He dives like Superman. He gets over the top of 2 players. And goes over to score the try. And this one's been one that's, again, been interesting to talk about the sort of controversial refereeing decision around this one and the laws around in rugby, right? So the laws in rugby are, you are not allowed to jump to avoid the tackle. That is the law, except in the act of scoring a try. Now, I've never been a big fan of the sort of weird addendum onto that law. It feels a bit weird, because when you go back and you watch, remember the Six Nations, you remember the Blair Murray jumped over a player, went out, and Falatau scored that try, and it picked up he jumped out the tackle. And the sort of rationale behind jumping out the tackle is they're worried about jumping in a tackle could result in knees, feet, impacting a player into the head, and head concerns are the biggest concerns in World Rugby. You're not allowed to jump because you might end up kneeing someone in the head, concussion laws, all that sort of stuff, right? So it is vitally important that you're not allowed to jump. Except when scoring a try, then suddenly head contact doesn't matter. You can see where James Slipper's, head is right there. They're right at knee height. He could be taking a knee to the back of their right. And it's one that I think, similarly to if you go back to a couple of weeks back when we talked about the South Africa doing the kickoff purposefully to generate a scrum, and I said then, the problem is if you make it so blatant that you're sort of finding a small exploit in the law, World Rugby will have to intervene with it. It's not going to end up sort of being against your team or against... If something is so direct, you're doing this purely for the benefit of your own team and you're sort of finding these exploits, you feel like World Rugby sort of end up needing to intervene to stop more teams sort of exploiting these rules and stuff. And I think this is another one that I honestly would like them to have a look at. I don't think you should be allowed to do this. And always just, honest opinion from me. because I don't know what you do against it. So if Dan Sheehan takes that tap on the 5 metre line, he's probably running 2 metres, 3 metres forward before the Wallabies players get to him. You've run 2 to 3 metres. You're not going to be at full speed, obviously. But, you know, you've got a bit of momentum going forwards. If you leap into the air, I don't know what Dan Sheehan weighs, 110, 120 kilos, don't know. Mid-air, you've leapt in the air, you've got momentum, you've got Maro Toji there in the photo. He's also pushing him forward. You've got extra momentum going forwards. I don't know how you stop that player from scoring a try. Because James Slipper and I'm not even sure who it was actually on the ground there with him in this photo now. But they've obviously gone low. It's Dan Sheehan. Have you seen Dan Sheehan score tries? He scores tries for fun, right? Tap and go. They do it with Ireland all the time. Pick and go. Just dive at the line, smash your face into the grass and sort of glide over. Just pure power, pure momentum you get over. You have to go low to stop a player on these tap and goes in the sort of modern game. If you are mid-air, how do you stop that player if he's in mid-air? Because again, if you think back to sort of the target areas you're allowed to tackle, if a player was stood up now and got him round the neck because you've leapt into someone's chest and they grab you, you know, round there, you've done a high tackle. You stopped a try. It could be a penalty try against you. You've done nothing. If you come in from, you can sort of see where Alan Alatoa is there, just behind Sheehan. If you get in the side and you hit him in the ribs, are you going to stop him? You know, full flight, 120 kilos, you hit him in the ribs, he might spin, but I think he still gets to the line. So all you could do is, like, fall underneath him and try to... I honestly don't see a great deal of necessarily what you might be able to stop him once he's mid-air, once he's already going. And I think that might be one where Will Rugby, again, might need to take a look at these rules about... like, what is necessarily legal? Now, we see it with wingers. Wingers dive in at the corner to score tries, and they're always in the highlight reels. We always see them, right? I wonder whether they might end up needing to create a bit of a shift in this law now, too. Rather than it being you're allowed to jump, like, in the act of scoring a try, I wonder whether they should maybe make the switch to be something like you're allowed to jump in order to score a try if you were going to be pushed out of play, or if there's the possibility you could go out of play. So that way, if you still want to have the highlight reels, you want the spectacle, because they always talk about rugby's for the viewers, and there's, you know, they want the games to be exciting, right? It would still allow wingers to run to the corner, dive into touch, and you sort of, you know, reach back with one arm, and you just about dot down the try on the, you know, in the corner sort of deal. It would still allow you to do that. You're less likely to get a massive sort of head contact, I guess, from out on the wing. But I think from the middle of the park, I'm not sure whether you should just be allowed to dive in scoring a try, or whether you might end up needing to have a bigger sort of sanction come in about if Dan Sheehan, in this very example, dives over the two players but didn't score a try, would you give a penalty against him immediately for not scoring? Therefore, you've only jumped over the tackle, not in the act of scoring a try because you didn't score. And I think that's what, out of the two things, they got the Jack Morgan one. This seems to be the one a lot of the Wallabies fans are very, very focused on. I would be focused on this. I think that could be something that maybe a rule change should be done, just purely because I don't see a way you're going to stop Dan Sheehan mid-air from there. And I think other teams could certainly look at that. There's plenty of, you know, hookers in World Rugby that are going to be very, very difficult to stop on these tap and goes now. So that might be one for me that I think they might want to look at. Currently, as it stands, I still believe that's a try. In the world of the rugby laws and rules and stuff, that is still a try as it stands. But it might be one similar to what I said about the South Africa kickoff one, where I said I think World Rugby might need to intervene because something is so blatant that it requires attention. I think that this could be another one where World Rugby might go, we might need to sort of reevaluate what you are and aren't allowed to do from these tap and goes, and whether or not you can actually just jump into the air. Because I don't know if there's a fairness level to the defensive team. Some people, if subscribers, viewers, might be defense coaches. Maybe you guys are like, no, that's fine. You can. There's a very standardized way in defense techniques that allow you to stop someone diving for the line mid-air from 5 meters out that won't in any possible way, then give a penalty to that player that's attempted to score a try and result in a penalty try or a yellow card to you for sort of getting him around the head, around the neck. Maybe you're not giving him a safe landing because you're going to, jam a knee in or something to try and dislodge the ball as he's going to ground. I honestly don't know what the, extra defensive rules you can do. I think that is one that they could look at, though. But overall, the game itself, man, I enjoyed the game far more than I was expected to. Like I said, I did think the British and Irish Lions were going to do pretty well in that game again. To see the Wallabies lead for massive, massive chunks of it was just nice to see from a rugby spectator. I wanted to watch it. And again, a lot of people talking about, it was, that cost the Wallabies the game. That was the decision. To me, this is what, is costing the game. Having one conversion there, you got three tries, there's 4 points left off the board, you win. And there was a couple of opportunities, in that game where I'm sure it was about 26-17. I can't remember what the exact scoreline was, where Australia had penalties. They had more penalties in the Lions half, and I thought, they're on 26. Kick this, takes you to 29. One more takes you to 32. Just in penalties. And I was like, I just don't see the Lions getting back from this. If you take that score to 29, you're going to put huge pressure on them, and you can just sort of keep chipping away the game. A drop goal, a penalty. Just keep that scoreboard ticking away. It's a test match. You've got to be looking for those threes, and instead they go for the corner, attempt the line out. They try, just take the threes, keep chipping away. I think there's other reasons why Australia didn't go on to win that game, and I felt that they could have gone on to win that game, as opposed to the Jack Morgan, Tizano sort of contact and stuff. But a very enjoyable game. Hopefully you guys all did enjoy the game. Honestly, let me know your thoughts on the two issues that I've sort of brought up there in the world of rugby. Your thoughts on them. I always enjoy having a read of other people's opinions. When no one's ever going to always agree on every single decision. That's sport. That's how it is. We all have a lot of different views and stuff. So interesting to let me know. Just let me know your thoughts. Don't have to tell me I suck because it's not your thought. Just just let me know what you guys think of those situations as well, because that's always an interesting sort of comparison to see how different people see those different things. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye bye.